Hello everybody and welcome to the Caddicarus 2018 Christmas special. Not a singular video, but a video series. More specifically, a top 25 countdown that starts today, December 1st, and ends on Christmas Day, with each part of the countdown being revealed on a daily basis. This is actually a follow-up to my 2016 Christmas video series counting down my favourite video games of all time, which, yes, has dated a bit since then, and other games have been released since then that I would replace other games on that list with. But that's just what time does, I can't really help that. But if you're interested, check it out on the link at the top right of this video. And since that series was known as the Badvent Calendar, clever I know, and Cadbury chocolate totally ripped it off, this time for 2018 we have the Badvent Calendar, where I count down my top 25 worst video games I've ever played. Gotta be honest, this was actually much harder to put together than my favourite games list 2 years ago, and so to make things much less stressful for me, I've imposed a few rules here that will apply to the whole list coming up, so if you see any comments talking about why certain games don't pop up despite my history, only this video will explain all of it now. Firstly, obviously, I can't add games on here that I've never played before. Custer's Revenge, Charlie's Angels, Drake of the 99 Dragons, Duke Nukem Forever, Ride to Hell Retribution, Zelda CDI, Shaq Fu. These are only a few examples, but my point is that if you don't see any infamously bad games on the list, it's probably because I've never played it, so it wouldn't be fair for me to include it. Second rule, no easy targets, and when I say this, I mean stuff like baby games, including Tweenies, Game Time, and Peppa Pig DS. And if I picked any cheap, tacky, asset flip Steam stuff like the Slaughtering Grounds, let's be real, the entire list would be full of that shit, so I can't bring myself to include that kind of thing. Thirdly, one game per franchise. Fourthly, no freeware indie games or anything like that because they're free experiments and experiences. And fifthly, no games that are basically nothing but bad movies. More specifically, things like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties or Spice World. There is no gameplay in those games whatsoever, so I won't count it. Anyway, enough dawdling. You came here for awful games and I'm going to give them to you. So welcome one and all to the Badvent Calendar. Horror games. When they're good, they're some of the most emotionally effective and memorable games ever made, and when they're bad, they're some of the most laughable and pathetic attempts of anything you'll ever see. There's a lot of terrible horror games out there, but I'm going to start this countdown off with a game that at face value doesn't look like it should belong on here at all from how stunning it looks, but that is what pulls you in and tricks you into at least thinking it's good before lifting the curtain and revealing a slow, boring, pointless mess whenever you're graciously allowed to actually control it. What you do in the Inpatient is very similar to something like Dear Esther. Walk extremely slowly around pretty locations until boring and awful story stuff happens that has no consequence or effect on anything. And saying that, even Dear Esther has a more interesting story. As a prequel to the brilliant Until Dawn, this barely links into any major events or characters whatsoever, and even as a standalone story, the choices the game leaves you with whenever it decides to do it on the rare occasion affect so little that people change their minds about you or the current situation at the drop of a hat depending on how you answer each individual question. And then nothing is ever brought up again. Not for future repercussions, major branching story events, even if the game tells you about it, nothing. And some of the things you're left to reply at certain dialogues are outright illogical or extreme to the point of baffling. You don't feel the impact of anything, and that's even more true with the gameplay itself. Not only is there barely any of that actually here, but whenever you're allowed to actually pick something up like an object, not only does it like to glitch the piss out, but then doesn't allow you to do anything to the thing you picked up to change or affect anything around the world. Like here, I want this sandwich, I want to eat it, and if I can't eat it, I want to throw it, but I just can't do anything with it, and then I get scolded by the nurse for not eating the sandwich. And going back to the Dear Esther comparison again, okay, I have no issue with walking sims whatsoever. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a game I truly adore. When you do it right, it can be a magical experience to me, but spin-off or not, especially to Until Dawn, this game is an embarrassment placed alongside its main installment. This is a game when you walk around and do absolutely sodding nothing while loud noises happen and things jump at your face through the VR. That's it, that's the whole game. What more can I say? Nothing changes, nothing evolves, nothing happens, the story isn't interesting, the scares aren't scary, the atmosphere has no build-up, and you realise from the very beginning that you're never in danger from the fact that you're not given the choice to attack anything or hide anywhere. There's no gameplay mechanics here, so what could possibly happen that should make you feel scared? Well, spoiler alert, nothing. You're never hurt, you never have to engage with the game, you never have to worry about what's going to happen or what corridors to walk down. Things happen regardless, and the game just disregards it and moves on. And sometimes you don't even get a good scare after a decent build-up, and the game just chickens out and fades to black. The reason this game is so low on the list, though, is mainly mainly because of the visuals and the VR. It's not only gorgeous, but especially for VR, it's downright unsettling just being in these locations. It looks so good it feels like you're actually there, but once that sensation goes after a few minutes, you're left with a vapid and empty experience where you just walk unbearably slowly from one area to the next, looking at all the nice textures and activating loud noises until the end of the game. I can't say anything else about it, and the fact it just stops and boots you back to the title screen after a couple of hours is even more insulting. The Inpatient sucks, so don't let those beautiful screenshots convince you to spend £30 on it, which is what I spent, and that's what it's worth on the PS Store. Oh, don't go everybody, I'm not quite done yet, because if watching today's video and watching the footage from one of the worst games I personally ever played was enough to make you quite depressed, then don't worry, because every day I'm not only going to be letting you divulge into my mind to pick out the worst of video gamedom in my opinion, but also I'll be directing you to my partners for the Badvent Calendar this year, chrono.gg/Caddy in the description below, where every single 24 hours a brand new, really good Steam game goes up on the site for a ridiculously cheap price. Yes, you get to clear out your mind of the bad with something really good and really cheap. And in a few days time, Chrono are going to be doing an ultra special series of deals that you'll only find out by checking chrono.gg/Caddy every day or by watching these videos for the reminder if you'd like to. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.